It is done. It is done. It is done. If you're new here, I'm Comic Man Andy. Welcome to my channel. Like, comment, subscribe. We got some energy going on. My Grail is done. My Grail is complete. For those of you that have been here, helped me out, cheered me on, pushed me through, reminded me not to spend too much money, reminded me to ease back, pull my poles back, chill out, save up that money. Thank you. Because I got to it. Hanging right where it needs to be. My ASM 129, first Punisher. We got it. A little bit better grade than anticipated. So we're going to cut to a clip here shortly and show you a clip that Brian made for me sharing that experience at Baltimore Comic Con. That's where I picked that book up, is Baltimore. And after that clip, I'm going to come back in here and we're going to do a little recap story of my experience at Baltimore. So stay tuned. Check out this clip. Grab a pint. Go pinkies out and have a little sip. See you in a few.
Andy, you finally picked up the Grail you've been hunting for. Tell us about this Grail, tell us the story, and show us this monster of a book.
Oh boy. What's up, guys? Comic Man Andy. Really excited to be here. Tired. It's been a fun con weekend, but we nailed it. We did it. Good planning, good timing, and we scored my holy grail, that ASM 129. And it was even a bit better of a grade than I had hoped for. I was really shooting for an 8.0, but an 8.5. And that dealer, Ditko Club, Darren Ford of Ditko Club, really helped me out with this. I don't know what to say, man. Cloud 9 yesterday. Just totally off the rails. Like, running around crazy, looking at all the books, and then I find it. So, Adam, Bear Island, I owe a huge thanks to, sent me a message first thing in the morning while they were setting up the Comic Core booth. And the Comic Core family really came through, and they found this book, talked to the dealer, and said, hey, we know a guy that's hunting for this right now. He's like, can I send him a picture and hook him up with you? And went there and talked with him for a while after searching around, trying to find a lot of other things I'm looking for, but chasing this one. And talked with him a couple of times. Went back around and said, this is what I can do, and I was only a little bit off, and we made it happen. Had to pull out the emergency fund, but we made it happen.
Awesome. So we got Andy, been talking about this book on Patreon, on his own YouTube channel. Make sure you check out Comic Man Andy on YouTube. Who's Bear Island? Let's tell us about
Adam from Bear Island in Detroit. Pinkies out, man. Michigan homie.
Yep, and is he on Instagram?
Bear Island Comics Instagram, Bear Island Comics YouTube channel, does some amazing contests, puts out some amazing videos as well. Super huge fun time with him.
Awesome. We got Andy, got his book, mission accomplished. What else did you get?
This is it. Just a Mike Zeck print with a signature that I couldn't pass up. I couldn't leave this behind. Got him to sign it in gold, and that's going right on my desk when I get home. Super cool.
Awesome, gorgeous signature. That's a cool print. And the print was cheap, right?
Oh yeah. The print was $10 with the signature, and then I bought a top loader to go with it.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us, Andy. And thanks for being a Simplemans Comics Patreon supporter. But not only that, awesome ass friend.
I can't stop looking at this book, man. This is centered so well, and the colors. Can you get through that Mylar? Can you see those colors in that Mylar?
Yep.
It's just, the colors are impeccable on it. I mean, even the back cover is super clean. So 8.5, gorgeous staples on it, looks super clean. Really happy. This one's going to get put up right behind me on my desk. It's going to be there for every video that I do. I want to be able to share this experience with the community and with the family, and whenever anybody pops on, they'll see that. And then they can find this story and watch the story as well.
Definitely. So not only is that on Simplemans Comics, but this video is on Comic Man Andy's channel as well. Awesome story. Mission accomplished. And what do we say to make mission accomplished?
What do I say? What am I going to do, number one, guys? I go piggies out. I go peace out. I'll catch you guys on the flip side for a show next week.
Would you come to Baltimore Comic Con again?
Yes, definitely. I'd fly instead of drive, but I would come again.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us, Andy.
Thanks. Woo! Damn, I look tired. But you know what? That's what an amazing con's going to do to you. And I've only been to a few in my lifetime so far, but Baltimore Comic Con was sweet, massive, tons of people, tons of vendors, tons of comic books. You know, I have never been to a con that had so many vendors there with so many amazing comic books, and it's fantastic. But after that recap, I'm going to show it off a little bit more. You know what? Because you, the comic book community, and everybody out there help me get this. You help support me, help remind me and cheer me on, not to go out and spend the money to do all the other crazy stuff and not to get the latest hype books that I really wanted, and I still want them. But I mean, you guys helped me get this. I couldn't have done it with you guys. Seriously. And just there it is. I had to pull it out of the Mylar. The Mylar bag ended up splitting while I was packing it up and trying to get it home. So it's in a standard bag. It's a little bit easier to deal with on the camera too, but it is just gorgeous, guys. I wish everybody watching this video could have been there with me when I found this book and purchased this book. So let's start with a Baltimore recap. Let me get this out of the way here a little bit. Yeah. For any of you guys that don't know, I'm from Michigan. Michigan's a long way from Maryland. That was one hell of a drive. I've done drives like that before, but when you kind of push the envelope and get into the evening late hours and you're driving through mountains, it's kind of tough. So I definitely had to stop, visit some family for a night, finish my run, and get down there the next day. And I'm glad I went a day early, checked in. It's nice to have a fresh bed and a fresh shower and everything before you go and hit the con. So what did I learn? Rule number 1, chill out. Don't burn yourself out. I was in there a million miles an hour, up and down every alley, looking for every vendor that had an ASM 129 and just trying to map out where every 129 was and what I was going to do. I had a window, like a target, the grades I wanted to be in. I know I wanted to stick with the CGC. That's what we had been working on. And I knew kind of like a target area. Like I was hoping to stick between a 7 and an 8. That's realistically what I was hoping for and what we had budgeted for. So Friday gets here. I'm in the con and I'm going nuts. I'm hydrated. I got my snacks with me. I'm running. I'm gunning. Running over the Comic Core family booth, checking those guys out, meeting all those great people. But more importantly, that morning when the Comic Core family was building their little castle of awesomeness with their live streaming, Adam, Bear Island. I hope those links work in that little recap Brian did for us, because those links will take you right to Bear Island's channel. He sent me a picture that morning, being an exhibitor, and they were setting things up. He had a pass to get there early, and he's like, "Hey, I happened to walk by and I see this this guy there with a booth, and he's got a couple of ASM 129s. One's like a 5.5 or a 6.5. The other one's an 8.5. He's like, I know those are kind of not really in your window, and but here's his price." And the dealer said, "Hey, Adam said to the dealer, he's like, "Hey, I know a guy that's hunting for this book. I know he's here to do this deal." And the dealer's like, "Well, send him my way. We'll talk." Told him the price. Adam sent me the price. I was like, "I'm not quite sure. It's kind of tight. I'm on a really tight budget driving to Baltimore. But we had taken the better part of this year to try to save up. So I had a budget. I had a number I was looking for, a grade I was looking for. Unfortunately, 129s kind of started peaking up in prices before we even left for the con. So it's like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. That's pretty tight, that price. So we're there. I'm running around, and I am just balls to the walls, happy as a clam, running around, checking everybody out, checking out all these dealers. I went to that dealer first, and it was Darren Ford of Ditko Club, and kind of said, "Hey, here's what I could do." And mind you, there's no such thing as a bad offer if you start off with, "Hey, educate me," or "Hey, I'm not super current with prices. but here's what I know. So as not to offend the dealer, I'm like, hey man, this is kind of where I'm at in the moment. And he's like, you know what? He's like, I can't do that. He's like, I just can't do that. And it's like, okay, I get that. I'm gonna need to think about this. I'm gonna walk around a little bit, take a breath of fresh air, and then rule number 2 for a con: hydrate, 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 hydrate. Because as soon as I left there, I went back running through everything, stopping, checking on these friends, stopping and checking on those other friends, and just didn't take care of myself. It was a whirlwind. It was a blast. Like I said, Baltimore Comic-Con, that's the biggest con I've ever been to. And there was so much squirrel, 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 squirrel. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. Snacks, food. I didn't take care of myself. It's escaping me at the moment. So, I went around, I went back and hung out with a couple other people, chitting, chatting, and looking. I ran into some of the most amazing people in this community. Big Lion Cat, got to meet up with him for a good while. Bear Island, Adam from Bear Island, got to meet up with him for a while. John's Comics with Kids. I could sit here and list off everybody. Alec, White Whale Comics, Jade. Oh, my really favorite part was JD from the Comic Corps took the time to walk me from dealer to dealer that he personally knows and says, these are the guys that you're going to want to talk to on this hunt. If they don't have something here, they might have something in time. JD even personally brought a 129 with him because he was considering selling or trading it. It wasn't, I'm a nitpicker for details, unfortunately. And his book was impeccable, but it was just one of those things where it's like, man, I just, can I get a little bit better grade right now? Can I make that work right now? And it's no offense to JD or his book anyway, by any means, because that book was a sight to behold as well. He wanted to trade that in, or he wanted to sell that and move that towards his Grail too, working on one of his Grails. But when he showed me that book, we were literally hours into the first day of the con. It's like, man, I got to hunt. And I ran and I ran and I ran. And I ran into a couple of dealers that sold a couple of 6.0s and like a 6.5 and like a 7.0. Like 129 seemed to be moving off that floor that day. And if anything had, any of the 129s had white pages on them, gone. I mean, within the first couple hours of that con, those white page books were gone. That's one of the things I was keying in on. Not that I'm really going to ever, I'm never going to sell this book. This book is never going to leave my collection. But when I look at it every day and I see white pages, that'll give me goosebumps. That'll continue to give me goosebumps. So it's Friday and we're about halfway through the day. And FOMO catches me. Because like I said, those white page 129s that were on the floor were moving. And you can find 129s all day long for some pretty good deals. Finding a 129 with white pages in an 8.0, because that's specifically what I was looking for at that time, because that's what my budget was built for. I didn't see a single 8.0 129 there, to be honest with you. Actually, now that I think about it, middle of the day, I go back to the dealer. I'm like, okay, because I had budgeted for, I had taken some other friends' advice and I'd gotten a sketchbook. I'd gotten some other things. I had plans for some other money, that I wanted to get some sketches done and start building my own sketchbook and experience that, because that's a really exciting part of going to a con too, is having artists do sketches, commissioning artists for sketches for your own sketchbook. It tells a story of all the conventions that you've ever been to. That story also tells your story that you had with your friends there and your family there. So I'm like, yeah, I fell in love with that idea and I really wanted to do it. But I went back to that dealer and I'm like, look, okay, this is literally everything that I have. This is what I can do. I'm pulling out my emergency fund. Everybody remember their dads telling them as they were growing up as kids, throw that extra $50 in your wallet, throw that extra $40 or whatever, $100 in your wallet, whatever you can afford at the time, throw that little emergency fund in your wallet. That paid off that Friday afternoon. That's what it took. I pulled out that little emergency fund and I pulled everything out and I'm like, this is what I can do. And he's like, you know what? He's like, you're not far off. He's like, I just need you to get to, I think it was $50 off. I was only $50 off of where he needed to be as a dealer. And you know what? I told him, I said, yes. Well, backpedal for a second. This is the sound of me backpedaling. I said, okay, give me about 10 minutes. Let me call the head honcho. I'm married. Comic man, and he's married. Head honcho's upstairs chilling out, doing her thing. Let me call the boss and be like, look, I have to kind of go outside of our original plan. We found the book, a little bit better grade. But to be able to accomplish this, you know, I need to pretty much take that whole budget I brought with me. And the joke was that I was going to eat ramen the rest of the weekend. And, you know, and she on the phone with me, and she's like, you know, this is your whole trip was to go and meet your family and to chase this book. That's what you talked about for eight some odd months. Like, I think I've said 10 months, which was probably me exaggerating. It's been the better part of 2019 that I talked about this chase, and more importantly, meeting the family, everybody. Excuse me. So on the phone, she's like, if you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it, because this was your whole reason for going there. And I thought to myself, I was like, man, that was almost an 11-hour drive down here. That would be an incredibly painful 11-hour drive back to go back empty-handed. And simply because I was only $50 outside of my budget for this book. So we made it happen. I went back to the dealer. Darren, if you're watching this, man, thank you. I've got your card. DitcoClub.com. Darren helped me out with this. And Darren definitely gave me a fair price on this book. So please hit him up if you're looking for something. If you see him at a con, shake his hand, talk to him, because he does fair pricing on books, on keys like this. Yeah, any book. I mean, he's a fair dealer. Seek him out. Look for him. I'm really excited that we were able to make this happen. I ended the phone call. I went back there. I said, look, man, I think I walked back there and there was somebody in front of me that had the 6.5 that he had and the 8.5, and they were looking at both of them. And I kind of panicked. Because at this point in my mind, it's a done deal. In this point in my head, as I'm walking there, it's mine. It's done. And there's somebody holding those books. And I walked up, and Darren looks at me, and my eyes got really big. And he quickly turned his head to the other gentleman. He's like, hey, are you done with that book? Are you interested? And I forget his exact words, because, man, it's like just a flurry at the moment. And the young man's like, yeah, I'm all set with that book. And that 8.5 went to Darren's hands. I looked at him and said, we've got a deal, man. And I hope he didn't laugh at me as my hands were shaking, feeding out those bills, because, I mean, this is the most amazing Grail for me ever as a mega Punisher fan. There are tons of amazing books out there, and there are tons of keys, but as a collector, as a mega Punisher fan, this was my holy grail. So I got the book, and I'll never forget this. I about tripped over my feet 3 or 4 times, and I'm walking back, and I'm like, I did it. It's done. And I'm heading back, and the only thing I could think of was head back to the Comic Core booth. That's where everybody's been at. They've all been cycling through there, and I'm like, it's done. I got to tell somebody. I'm going to panic if I don't tell somebody. So I'm walking back, and I turn, and as I'm walking back up the row, I'm looking, and I see the lights, and I didn't realize they were live at the moment. I take the book, and I hold it way over my head, and I'm like, it's done! And I'm yelling, it's done! I've done it! And I must have looked like just the biggest fool in the con. I don't know, man. Getting goosebumps reliving it. I must have looked like the biggest fool to a ton of people. But in that moment, I came running up, and Cat Ren Figures turns and sees me. Andy, we're live right now. Get in here. Get in here. And we sat down and we did a quick little segment and shared that. And it's like, oh man, I was boiling over, hot, sweating. What did I forget to do? I forgot to take care of myself. I forgot to hydrate. I forgot to chillax. I forgot to relax. Just a ton of excitement. And I let that get the better of me. And I ran and I ran and ran. But I sat down. We talked for 5 or 6 minutes. And then I realized that she sat me down in the middle of her own live show. Wow. She sat me down. She took me in and sat me down in the middle of her own live show. And I'm like, that takes a lot to just stop what you're doing and bring somebody else in. And I'm really appreciative of that. That's that family aspect. That's that camaraderie that we share. And then I realized after about 5 or 6 minutes that she was continuing on with the show. I was like, okay, hey, Drew, I'm ready. If you're ready to tag in, I'll tag out. Because at that point, I was feeling it. I needed some water. Man, 16 minutes. I'll try to speed this up a little bit, but I got to share this experience with you guys. Baltimore was amazing. Went to try and get some water, chill out a little bit. At this point, I'm walking around holding this, and I'm like, I've almost dropped it twice already. I'm like, oh, man, just panicking. Like, I got to get it put in my backpack, get it put in my back, and get it done. And there's a con to see. There's friends to hang out with, That's just, I was one and done on the books. Literally, like, I was eating ramen the rest of the weekend. So, got the book back in my bag, headed out with some friends, walking around checking the con, and at some point you just get to the realization that when you forget to take care of yourself, all of a sudden you kind of get a little dizzy, you kind of get a little fainty. You're like, oh man, I'm not feeling good. I sat down, started drinking some water. It's like, all right, I've got to go. I wish I could have stayed all the way until the end of it that day, like 7 o'clock or something like that. I went back to the hotel, got cleaned up, kept hydrating, started to feel a little bit better after I got something to eat, and got the phone call from Brian of Simplemans Comics, Jack, a.k.a. Mr. Bolo, and a number of other people are like, hey, we would like to go get some dinner. Would you be interested in joining us? I'm like, yeah, that was the point of going to Baltimore for me, was to meet everybody, as many people as I could, and hang out with them and do whatever. So we walked and we walked and we walked. And I'll never forget this. We was getting so irritated. The first place we went to, nobody would even come up to the door. I think the waitress came up to us, and I think she rolled her eyes at Matt, the guy that was telling her that there were 7 people to be seated. She rolled her eyes and walked away. 15 minutes later, we still hadn't been seated, and nobody asked us any other information. So we walked on. Walked here, walked there. Baltimore's a busy city with a lot of amazing restaurants. I kid you not, Friday night, they're all going to be pretty busy. We ended up finding an Irish bar right on the water that was able to seat us, and I cannot pronounce the name. But they had a short-ribbed grilled cheese sandwich to die for. If any of you know me, if any of you guys out there know me, I love me some good food. I love me a good sandwich. Short rib grilled cheese. At first I was kind of like, what am I going to get? Am I going to get some pulled pork thrown in here? Am I going to get a little crappy pulled beef in here? No, God, no. That was a really, really good short rib grilled cheese. I kid you not. I didn't know that a grilled cheese could be that amazing. That was an amazing grilled cheese. And like I promised to a lot of people that I had talked to online, I was like, if we're going to dinner that night, I'm buying the first round. We're going to celebrate. Got that 129. Let's celebrate. So I bought a round. We cashed out. We headed out, and we started walking and checking out Baltimore. Baltimore, mind you, is the biggest city I've ever been in. Pretty damn cool. I'm not used to a city that big. Lots of elevators. Elevators and heights give me vertigo. So the whole weekend I was kind of, and lots of traffic and commotion. But that's the hustle and bustle of the city. And that was pretty amazing to experience that. So we're walking around looking for some other places. And we just wanted to go have a couple of pints, I'm going to do some pinkies out. Have a pint here or there, we end up going past the hotels that we stay at. Ended up down a back alley area. Super nice, super cool cobblestone brick roads. Like, man, old school. It's like really neat to see the history of Baltimore there. And we stumble on this patio bar. It's like, hey, you know, they've got some outside seating and it's not too cold out. It was pretty decent. And yeah, you order a couple of pints and then you're sitting there. It's like all of a sudden Steve Ditko walks by. Ditko, sorry. I kill names. I'm terrible with names. And he's just sitting there with his, not sitting there, he's walking with his arms behind his back. He's got his entourage. And I still, to this day, I can't tell if he was looking for signs and looking for a place to eat or if he was checking out like the architecture, checking out the buildings and whatnot. That was still really cool though. You know, I mean, he comes walking by, you raise a glass. Hey, how's it going, guys? You wave, you say hi. I was like, you're at a back alley bar. And he's just kind of walking through the city, taking it in and enjoying it. And I'm like, that's really cool. So number of drinks later, number of cheers, a number of other cheers, and you're hanging out and it's getting late. Yeah, it's getting really late. Cash out the tabs. Oh boy, is it late. Get back to the hotel, crash for the night, wake up the next morning. It's like, oh man, we were out way too late. Burnout, tired. A lot of people have done it. I hope to be a little bit more mindful of timing when I get to bed, when I'm out traveling like that to a convention. Because I woke up that next morning, took a shower, and I'm like, hey, I got to go get some breakfast before it's too late. Ran up and got a ton of breakfast. Went back down. They had a marathon going out, which was going on, not out. They had a massive marathon going out. So I go down the street level in the city, and I'm watching this marathon go by. I'm watching all these people go by. Watching all these people. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. And my head's just spinning. I didn't realize they had thousands of people doing this marathon. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh man, I'm dizzy. So I run back up to the room. Mind you, like I said, elevator rides. Elevator rides and heights give me vertigo. Oh boy, that was tough. So I lay back down in bed, and it was probably a solid 3 hours that I was chilling there, relaxing, watching TV. And just shortly after the con opened again that day, I'm like, okay, I'm up. Time to go. Grail's done. Let's go experience the con. Let's go hang out with some people. And what did I forget to do? Forgot to take care of myself. Forgot to hydrate. Forgot to eat properly the rest of the day. And forgot to relax properly the rest of the day. Get to the con. Squirrel. Oh my God. Everything everywhere. I got to take it all in. I'm not going to be coming back to Baltimore again for at least a year. I got to take everything in. And I was just crazy a million miles an hour. It was really cool getting to meet a lot of the people. I found a print I couldn't live without. I get to one corner, and mind you, I've spent my budget. Done. Spent my budget. I don't have any money left. Seriously, at this point, I think I had like $10 left in my wallet. That was it. And all the other guys celebrating with the night before, you know, bought me a couple of pints. So I still had that $10 in my wallet. And I turn a corner and I see Mike Zeck's table. And there's nobody there. And I found this. And as a Punisher fan, Mike Zeck's interpretation of the Punisher, for me, is one of my favorites, Volume 1. Unfortunately, I put this Grail before the Volume 1 Grail kind of deal. That might be the next book I chase. But Mike Zeck's interpretation of the Punisher is one of my all-time favorites. Not to mention, I'm not really a signature collector, but there we go. His signature is just pretty freaking cool. And then signed in gold on a black and white print just makes it pop. Now, mind you, there's nobody at this table. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, probably because it was the middle of the day and lunchtime and a ton of people were going to lunch. And I was just showing up and just walking around. I'm looking and I'm like, prints were only $10. That's incredibly reasonable. Incredibly reasonable. $10 signed for the print. And then, another $5 gets you the top loader. I'm like, yeah, incredibly affordable. I would have paid even a little bit more for that print and that signature. I I had to have it. You know, that's just a super cool print looking at that and that signature. We'll do pinkies out for that. So I call the boss again. Hey, I just need a couple of bucks out of the ATM. Not a lot. Just need a little bit of wallet money. Here's what I want to buy. Here's what I'm going to spend. And then I'll have a little left over for dinner tonight. She's like, yeah, that's fine. You're good. Go right ahead. And I get back to the table, and a nice gentleman has shown up and shown up to the table with probably 20 plus books for him to sign. I was like, oh no. And I'm already not feeling good, mind you. Still not feeling good. Still had vertigo the entire time I was there. And I'm like, kind of sitting there. I'm like, fight through it. I can do this. It's my exec. That print is amazing. Let's just get it signed really quick and move on. So they moved through their books pretty quickly. Mike Zek did a really good job spending time with that guy and signing everything and talking with him. And then up comes my turn, and I'm like, what do I say? I don't know what to say, man. So what did I do? I shared my feelings, and I'm like, this is my favorite rendition of Punisher ever. And I'm a mega Punisher fan. And I'm not going to sit there and chat the guy for 20 minutes. There were people starting to show up behind me, and I'm like, I really appreciate your work. Really appreciate your signature on this. This means quite a bit to me. And kind of moved on, He sees a lot of people. So I went on about my day, and I'm like, okay, it's time to go back to the Comic Core family group, and those people, check them out and see where they're at. And, they had a ton of interviews going on. So I'm like, all right, let's keep checking the con out. And what did I forget to do? Forgot to take care of myself. Forgot to hydrate. Forgot to snack properly. Forgot to sit down and relax. And I'm burning way more energy than I thought I would just running through that place. And I went through all the artist alleys, and I'm like, let me check these guys out. Let me check this out. I really don't have the money to do a sketch, but let's see what other kind of prints are out there. And I found, this is going to be terrible. This print right here that my finger's on, sitting back here. I found that print walking just up and down the aisles looking, and I was frozen in my tracks. Now, this print is by C. Edward Sneller, Chief Creative Officer of Visionary Comics. It's probably not going to work out too well with the lighting. And I froze when I saw that. I looked at him. I'm like, that is a stunning print. How much? Can I get this? It was the last print he had available. It was the last copy of that he had available. So, not many people know I'm a big space buff, space geek, space buff. Movies like Interstellar just glue me to the TV. So I had to have this print. And he offered to sign it for me, and I really appreciated that. And so it's his interpretation of God, I Believe, and it's a bi-monthly prose anthology debuting in January 2020. I didn't get too much into the details on this because I will when I have time. I'm still recovering from all the driving and all the great con experiences. But he did say he sent me a reply on Instagram after when I shared this because I wanted to share that, And he's like, you made my weekend, because I must have been a crazy sight to behold, a middle-aged white fat guy with a giant beard, frozen his tracks. Literally, I almost tripped over my own 2 feet when I stopped looking at this print. Because that's just kind of that a print like that's just kind of my thing too. And bought it, paid for it. He's like, thank you. You made my weekend. And I threw it in the top holder and took it with me. And that's all I got from the Baltimore Comic Con. But like I said, you know what? Actually, let me backpedal a little bit. That's not all I got from the Baltimore Comic Con. Physically, these 3 items is what I brought home from Baltimore Comic Con. But the most important thing I brought home from the Comic Con was a level of camaraderie and family that's difficult to replicate anywhere in the world. I met people from California. I met people from Nebraska. I met people from all over the country that I'd seen and interacted with online on a regular basis, but I got to see in person. And hey, I walked up and, hey, it's Comic Man Andy. Shook my hand, hung out, got to spend time with him. I got the invite to go do this and go do that, and it was really a family atmosphere. It was, I kid you not, a family atmosphere. And those people just blow my mind at how amazing they are. Whether it's an invite to go out to dinner or an invite to go back to their place for a pint, like the Airbnb the Comic Core family had going, or it's an invite out to another place, or it's like, hey, we're going to do this interview. Come be a part of this interview. I got invited to do an interview that they were working on setting up. Now, the interview, unfortunately, didn't happen because time is a finite, object. It's a finite thing, not an object, but it's a finite thing. So it didn't happen, but it's like, it's unreal. It's surreal. The number of people, Chuckload Comics from Chicago was there. I met Nick from Slabbed Heroes. I met so many people, the crew from Frankie's Comics, the list goes on and on and on of all the people that buy, sell, trade comic books as a job, the people that create comic books as a job, the people that are there for the hobbies. The cosplayers are my favorite, to be honest with you, because people watching at a convention is amazing. They put together some amazing costumes. So I've been going for a while here now. This is going to kind of be a long video sharing this experience. And I know long videos aren't really great, but so here we are, Saturday, tired. I literally thought I was going to pass out on the floor. I had to sit down, take a break, eat a snack, take in some Gatorade and take in some water, and went back to visit some people. And Kat, Ren, and Mark were both like, you look like you're going to pass out. Go drink some more Gatorade. And after about a half an hour drinking Gatorade, I'm like, okay, they're right. I got to call it. I got to call it and go back. So I went back and just ordered a pizza and chilled out and watched some movies on the TV and relaxed and got some really good rest. And then woke up to Sunday, the last day of the convention, realizing that it was pouring rain, terrible weather, and I had a 11-hour drive ahead of me. I had all intentions of going back down there and taking some pictures with people and hanging out. Didn't get to do it. Decided to just throw my bags in the truck and get ready to go because I was going to drive straight to Michigan. I wanted to get back and see my family. So I got on the road, and thankfully I got home at a super late but semi-decent time and just crashed. So recapping the whole experience is, one, I'm going to fly next time. I'm really going to fly next time. Pack light, fly, hydrate, take care of yourself, relax, snack. Don't forget to eat food. Bring in some calories, otherwise you're not going to feel good. And probably stay on the first floor of a hotel or second floor so I don't have to do all the elevators. Elevators kill me, guys. So I want to say thank you to everybody that helped push me to try and make this happen and cheered me on. And I want to say thank you to everybody at the convention. I can't sit here and name everybody without spending another 10 or 15 minutes because every time I name somebody, I'm going to go into a special part of that weekend that they shared with me. Whether it's a handshake or a hug or a high five. Great legend with the high five and the hug, man. Robert, man, it's so great to meet you. JB, yeah, here we go, man. I'm just going to keep carrying on. JB, man, you work so hard and the community loves you for it. And it's just one of those things where it's appreciated. It really is appreciated. And you need to hear it more, man. It's really appreciated. You bust your chops with the equipment, with the traveling and setting up that show, that the show that you do every day. It's loved, man. It's enjoyed. And everybody out there, like I said, I can go on for another 20 minutes. But I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to say thanks again. God, this, oops, I must have bumped something. Thank you, everybody, for a mega score, mega decent deal on my mega key, a super cool print, and more importantly, the experience at Baltimore. If you don't go to Baltimore Comic-Con, you're missing out. Please try to budget and find your way to Baltimore and hang out with all these people because it is an amazing convention. It's a great city with some stellar food and some stellar beers and good people to go around. So I'm going to sign out. I'm going to go pinkies out. Peace out. I'm going to catch everybody on the flip side and hope you all hung out long enough to see the rest of the story because it's in my opinion, it's a pretty special story for me. I really appreciate it. Tons of hard work by everybody. Chad from Comic Core, tons of hard work, man. Thank you. We all appreciate it. It was a good time. Everybody have a good night. I look forward to seeing everybody on YouTube. Please don't hesitate to make videos and share and talk and share experiences because that's what the hobby's about too. It's not just about the books. It's about the experience. It's about the camaraderie. It's about the achievements. These achievements. Love y'all. Pinkies out. Peace out. Have a good night. Want to see my wiener?